Hello everyone, and welcome to Noodle Journey, your destination for detailed and informative reviews of the instant noodle universe. Today I am doing another mega review video where I will be checking out all 4 of Nissin's current hot and spicy Fire Wok bowls. Now before we get started, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these reviews. So yeah, I've had a few people ask me to review the Fire Wok line, and so I'm checking out these bowl versions that Nissin manufactures and sells here in the USA. This is a product line that's been out for a couple of years, and it's not to be confused with a similar product line just called Hot and Spicy, which comes with a different, more citrus-forward chili sauce with less heat. But here, I think the name Hot and Spicy Fire Wok is pretty self-explanatory. These are spicy sauced noodles with a different protein base in each one, and they all contain a packet of this fire sauce that they tout on the lid. Nissin has also very recently released a couple of pillow pack flavors different than these. I will be getting to those reviews another time because I haven't seen them where I live yet. So we're just doing the bowls for this video. You can find these in supermarkets all across the USA, including super Walmarts. They should be under $2.50 depending on where you live, and I've seen them as low as $1.50 at Walmart. And assuming these are good, that is a good price for what feels like a pretty decent serving of noodles in each of these. So we've got 4 flavors here: Sizzlin rich pork, Molten chicken chili, Volcanic Mongolian beef, and Scorchin sesame shrimp. And I also want to point out that each one of these has the spice rating on the lid on a scale of 1 to 6 chili peppers. So I figure I'll go in order from least spicy to most spicy for this review, which means I'm going to start with the Sizzlin rich pork flavor. Now, as you can see, 4 out of 6 chili peppers, meaning this is the least spicy out of the bowls currently available. There's not really much else to say about this. It's a pork-flavored spicy noodle bowl. So that sounds pretty good, assuming it's executed correctly. But first, check out this sneakiness on the nutrition label. A serving size is considered half a package. So, like, what does Nissin think you're doing? Microwaving this and putting half of it in the refrigerator? Are you eating half of the bowl and then passing it to the person in the next cubicle to finish? Come on now, you know you're going to eat this whole thing yourself. If you do, you're eating 2,020 milligrams of sodium, which is definitely on the high side, and it's not even the highest one of this product range, so be warned if you plan on adding more things to this. I'm actually filming this video over the course of 4 separate days because of how high the sodium is in each of these bowls. Like, there's no way I'm eating more than one of these for lunch. All right, so inside the bowl, we've got a round block of what looks to be what I would say medium gauged noodles. We've got a powder seasoning, a vegetable pouch, and the fire sauce packet. Now, as far as ingredients in all of this, the label on the bowl doesn't really differentiate what's what. But from what I can gather, the seasoning powder has soy sauce, both chicken and pork extract, garlic powder, and an assortment of other spices. In the vegetable packet, you've got green onion and a lot of textured soy protein that I believe is intended to function as imitation pork. And then the fire sauce, I have no idea. Chili pepper for sure, but I will taste it before it goes in and see if I can isolate any other spices or flavors. And so let's assemble this for the microwave. You save the fire sauce for the end after it cooks, but the powder and vegetables can go in right now. That smells pretty nice. Lots of umami and garlic. Yes, there's a very pleasant soy sauce smell coming from the soy protein. I'm into that. That means these are flavored and not just there for texture, as they should be. All right, I'm just going to add some room temperature water to the fill line, microwave this for 5 minutes. I will be right back. All right, so first things first, for something that's supposed to be a saucy noodle bowl, that is a lot of broth. Looks like the noodles didn't really absorb as much as I expected them to. So, kind of surprising there. Not what I thought this was going to be. Doesn't mean it's bad. You know what, before I add the fire sauce, let me stir this all up, give it a taste without the fire sauce. just to see if there's any chili pepper hiding in the powder. Because as it stands right now, this kind of looks like a really great tonkotsu. Smells like it too. You can smell the pork, garlic, possibly some ginger. Yeah, let me give this a quick try as is. Yep, it is spicy without the fire sauce. Not by much, but it's there. So if you were buying this in the hopes of just omitting the fire sauce and eating this without any spice in it, it is still spicy. All right, so it smells very acidic. You can see that there's some oiliness on top there. Definitely some kind of blend of soy sauce, chili pepper, and, well, not sure what else, but we'll see. Okay, so I think if my taste buds are not mistaken, this is a blend of chili pepper, sesame oil, and miso. Yeah, it's definitely got some kind of like very strong soy hit to it that I think might be miso. It's pretty good. It's really good, honestly. I would buy this on its own. All right, let's get this all stirred together. Okay, that looks much better. You'll notice that as it's been sitting, the thing that I thought was a broth is gradually turning into more of a gravy. So, I mean, that's good. Look, you look at the front here. This does not look like a soup. This looks much closer to what it is advertised as. And so if you do buy this for yourself, let it sit for a couple minutes to thicken up. All right, time to dig in. Wow, holy shit. Holy shit. Wow, okay. Okay, let's talk about the noodles first. These are not cup noodles. In fact, based on the cooking time being 5 minutes, they're also not the same noodles that you find in top ramen because those take 3 minutes to cook. So these appear to be their own thing, maybe specifically for this product line. They're a little on the thick side, which I like. They're not quite as firm as I like them to be, but they are much better than I anticipated. I'm going to give them a 7.5 out of 10. I expected these to be in the 6 range because, you know, Nissin's noodles, aside from Rao, are not always my favorites, but I like these. They're plump, and they have a medium chew, and if they were just a little bit less soggy, I'd give them an even higher score. All 4 of the bowls are going to have the same exact noodles, so let's call it a 7.5 out of 10 for all 4 noodle scores, just so I don't have to repeat myself. I'd imagine if you want these a little firmer, you could reduce the cooking time. But here on Noodle Journey, we always review everything as instructed. So let's talk about the spice level. Obviously, if you're buying something called Hot and Spicy Fire Wok, you know that these are not going to be mild. This being the least spicy of the product line at 4 out of 6 chili peppers, remember. On my own personal spice scale, I feel like these are about a 4 out of 10. So Original Bulldog is about an 8 out of 10 on my scale. These are nowhere near the same league. But they do have a little bit of a lingering burn. So depending on what you like at a 4 out of 10 for the spice, this might be a comfortable spice level that you're after, or it might disappoint you that it's not hotter. Okay, so let's talk about the flavor. Now, I originally said this smells like a spicy tonkotsu. When I tasted it originally without the fire sauce, it tasted like an under-seasoned tonkotsu with a little bit of spice in it. And that, by the way, tonkotsu is a Japanese-style ramen pork broth, if you're unfamiliar. And yeah, that is how this tastes with the fire sauce added. The fire sauce is almost a necessity for this, to give it the salt and umami that it really needs. Without the fire sauce, it's a little bit bland. Don't buy this with the expectation that you can just omit the fire sauce and you'll be fine. It's really kind of essential to complete this flavor. So let me talk about what that flavor is. The use of actual pork extract in this is loud and clear. One of the downsides of being a super taster, which apparently some denizens of the internet think is not a real thing, one of those downsides is I process bitter notes more frequently than other people. And so when a company opts for artificial pork seasoning, half the time it's just got a funky bitterness for me. But this is genuinely porky. It's also very garlicky, very umami forward from that fire sauce. It's just incredibly tasty. And if I'm being 100% honest, I wasn't expecting much out of this. Like when something American made from Nissin pops up in a grocery store, my first thought is not usually that it's going to be something amazing, but holy shit, this is really good. Pork and garlic is the main flavor base. The fire sauce has that additional chili forward umami happening. It's just a terrific mixture of flavors. The green onions are a little scarce, but the textured soy protein, why can't I find any? Here's a few that are floating around in here, are plentiful, delicious, and the texture is really close to pork. I love those. So it's kind of a wash. A lot of pork, not enough green onion. Adding your own green onion after this cooks is a lot easier than adding your own soy protein after this cooks, so not a big complaint there. So we've got decent noodles with a spectacularly tasty sauce and some really great soy protein flakes. If the noodles had cooked up just a little bit firmer, I would honestly have a hard time not giving this a perfect score. So while this is ever so close to a 10 out of 10, I think it's more appropriate at a 9 out of 10 for me. Still way higher than I expected going into this review. This is dynamite stuff. Way to go, Nissin. Okay, I can safely call this one an unexpected surprise. I will absolutely be buying this one again. And if the rest of the flavors are this good, then this whole product line is going to be an easy recommendation to you spice lovers. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the Scorchin Sesame Shrimp flavor. And I don't know if lightning can strike twice here, but the Sizzlin rich pork flavor has set the bar very, very high already. I am still cautiously optimistic about this one and the remaining two flavors, so let's just get right into it. This is the next spice level up from the Sizzlin rich pork at 5 out of 6 chili peppers. Alright, sodium check again. Out of all the products in the Fire Wok bowl line, this one has the highest sodium level. So that's 2,160 milligrams for this entire bowl, which again, Nissin seems to think is 2 servings. If you're going to add anything to this, keep in mind that this is already at 94% of your daily allowance for sodium. Alright, inside we've got the block of noodles, the seasoning pouch, dried flake pouch, and the fire sauce packet. And in the seasoning this time around we've got things like sesame seed paste, powdered shrimp, rice vinegar, garlic, Szechuan peppercorn, and surprisingly pork extract. So while you might think that because this says shrimp on the front it is pescatarian friendly, it is most certainly not. In the flake packet there's textured soy protein, bok choy, green onion, and actual dried shrimp. So that's pretty cool. And then the fire sauce, I assume, is the same spicy sauce featured in the other Fire Wok bowls. The thing that makes me not so certain about that is that I believe the text on the last one was red and this one's orange. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's put this all together and get it cooked. It is only very mildly shrimpy. And in fact, the scent of that powder pack actually reminds me more of shin broth than of anything I would expect from Nissin. Smells like dried shrimp. Kind of interesting. It looks like there's more soy protein in here than there are shrimp. Yeah, that's weird. All right, time to add water and put this in the microwave. Okay, and here it is. And as with the last video, I'm going to give this a stir and a taste first to see what it's like on its own. I'm going to guess probably bland, just like the pork one was until the fire sauce went into it, but we'll find out. Yeah, so once again, pretty bland without this fire sauce. Not terrible, and it is already spicy. So if you buy this, you're kind of in for a penny in for a pound with needing to put the hot sauce in. It's going to be spicy either way. All right, I think that's pretty mixed up. Yeah, so you know what? My suspicion was correct. This is a different sauce because right away I smell Szechuan peppercorn in here. It was not present in the Sizzlin pork. So Completely different fire sauce. I'm surprised. That note of miso or soy paste or whatever they used in here for the extra umami, which this desperately needs, by the way, is here. But it almost looks like the oil's a bit different too. Yeah, even though I tasted sesame oil in the pork, this has much more pronounced sesame flavor to it. Let's try to get this big ball of paste dissolved in here. Okay, so first complaint, I've been stirring this vigorously, and as you can see, the sauce is much more paste-like this time around, and it is not dissolving in the water very easily. So I'm going to keep at it, but eventually I'm going to give up because I need to eat this. Okay, so there we go. It took a little more elbow grease than the last one to get this paste all mixed in, but I think we're good now. What I'm smelling here reminds me of a tantanmen almost, that kind of nutty, spicy flavor profile that you expect out of there. The fact that it's got these little dehydrated meat bits in here kind of coincides with that. Yeah, it smells pretty good. Let's give it a taste. So, funny story, and I'm going to have to edit all that out. I have been searching for literally the last 5 minutes trying to find one of the dehydrated shrimp pieces in here, which I know I saw in the packet because it's transparent, but there are so few in here that I honestly can't find a single one. Yeah, so that's going to be reflected in the score. Like, don't tell me there's dehydrated shrimp in this, and then it turns out there's like 2. But I got a taste of everything else, so let's talk about what's going on here. From a spice perspective, this is a hair hotter than the pork was. The thing that kind of tricks you into thinking that this is a little spicier than it actually is the numbing sensation of the Sichuan peppercorn. You feel a tingle in your lips, you feel a tingle in your mouth. It's because of the Sichuan peppercorn. So this does feel spicier to me. So Nissin gives this a 5 out of 6 chili peppers. I think I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10 on my own personal scale, mainly because I think Nissin's 6 chili peppers is probably going to still come in under the spiciest stuff I've eaten on this channel before. And so let's get into the flavor of this. There is some sweetness from the shrimp powder, yes, but more so this comes off as something closer to mala or tantamen, like I was saying earlier, but it's much spicier. The things I'm tasting most here are the sesame oil, Sichuan peppercorn, a really strong smack of ginger, and not a whole lot else. There's not a whole lot of other subtle flavors going on in here. If you like ginger and Szechuan peppercorn and sesame oil, you're going to like the flavors in this. For my personal taste, it's a little too gingery. I like less ginger. It's the main thing I'm really tasting here. And so, yeah, you know, not my favorite. The dehydrated soy protein has a different texture this time around than the pork one did. These are firmer. Don't have quite the same umami flavor to them that the imitation pork bits did. They're not bad. In fact, they kind of have an imitation seafood vibe to them. But, you know, they're not pollock. Let's see what else. There's lots of leafy bok choy pieces in here. Those are really good. If I could find one of the dehydrated shrimp that were in that packet, I would let you know how they are. But, I mean, you know, if you've been eating shrimp-flavored ramen for a while, I'm sure you know what a dehydrated shrimp tastes like. I'm just going to have to assume that that's what these taste like too. So, you know, one of those tiny little shrimp that's got a pretty strong shrimpy flavor to it, that doesn't quite taste like a fresh shrimp, but it's not totally awful. Yeah, that. If you want to make this for yourself and you've got a bag of Ramen Bay classic seafood and veggie mix lying around, that would go really well with this. It desperately needs some more actual seafood in it than what came with it. So I like this. I don't love it. I think some of the shrimp flavor is lost in the sea of ginger and Szechuan peppercorn. And so I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. It's all right. If you like these flavors, you'll like this, but it's a little too overpowering for my taste buds. Alright, so not terrible, but I'm definitely not buying this one again. The Sizzlin rich pork still reigns supreme. Let's see how we do with the next flavor. Okay, so the final two flavors are tied for the spiciest at 6 out of 6 chili peppers on Nissin's scale. So let's try the molten chili chicken first because that's the one that came out first. And so to recap where we are so far, if you're skipping around the video, the pork flavor was outstanding and the sesame shrimp was okay. Where will this chicken flavor land? We'll find out soon enough. But first, let's check the sodium level. In this one, not quite as crazy as the shrimp flavor was, but still pretty high, 2,050 milligrams for the entire bowl. Or since Nissin says that a serving size is half a package, then, you know, you can share it with a friend and only consume 1,020 milligrams of sodium instead. Because that's a normal thing that people do, right? Yeah, so inside we've got those same hot and spicy noodles that we've been seeing. Seasoning packet, vegetable packet, and fire sauce pouch. Now in the seasoning we've got powdered chicken fat, garlic, soy, red pepper powder, and various unlisted spices. In the veggie packet there's apparently both dried cabbage and kimchi cabbage, green onion, and sesame seeds. So a possible Korean twist with the kimchi, maybe? I kind of thought the smell of the shrimp flavors powder was close to Korean shin broth, so maybe that'll happen again here. We'll see. And then, of course, we've got the liquid fire sauce with green text this time, so I'm guessing not the same as either of the other two fire sauces. I have to say, I love the variety here. I really thought that it was going to be the same sauce in all 4 bowls. I am pleasantly surprised that each one is like a completely different recipe. Let me put this together and we'll get it cooked. Okay, strong whiff of red pepper and garlic there. Smells like cabbage. These kimchi flakes do not look very healthy. They're pretty brown. Thank you, Ramen Bay, for spoiling me for good dehydrated kimchi flakes. All right, I'll go microwave this and come right back to add the fire sauce. Okay, as you can see right out of the microwave, this one looks a lot angrier than the other two. Much darker sauce than I would have anticipated. Kimchi flakes are still kind of a dark red instead of a bright red, but they feel right. All right, so I'm pretty sure that I already know that this is going to be spicy without the fire sauce, but I'm going to give it a taste anyway, just in case there's something interesting happening here. I mean, this one's got a kick to it already. It is very spicy, even without the fire sauce. And the fire sauce in this case smells like straight up kinda chemical adjacent chili oil. Yeah, it kind of tastes that way too. I'm not a big fan of this fire sauce on its own, especially compared to the last two. Let's get this all stirred up. Okay, the fire sauce, which is really oil this time, pretty well mixed in. Let's give it a taste all together. And I'll try to get some cabbage in this bite too. All right, so spoiler, this one's super disappointing, but let me talk about the spice level first. This one feels way hotter than the previous other two varieties, and while the other ones have been pretty much on point with my own scale, 4 and 5 peppers respectively, compared to 4 and 5 points on my spice scale, this is a lot hotter than the 6 on my spice scale. In fact, I'm going to say this is a 7 out of 10 for my spiciness. This is, yeah, this is about up there with some of the Bulldog flavors. And because, as you saw, a lot of that spice exists in the form of that insoluble fire sauce oil, it's coated my tongue, it's on my lips, it's tingly, and unfortunately a very chemical forward kind of spice. It's kind of unpleasant, really. So let's talk about the flavor and why this is a disappointment. All the ingredients in here that I should have been able to taste, like garlic, chili pepper, chicken powder, soy sauce, this is bland as hell. I don't know how something with this much sodium can be this bland, but it is. The fire sauce didn't really do a whole lot to it to change the flavor. It just added a layer of artificial chemical spice to it that I am not happy about. And before all you Baldock haters accuse Samyang of doing the exact same thing with chemical spice, no, it's not even in the same league. There's just basically nothing going on behind the spice in this. Even before I put the fire sauce in, it was just kind of a spicy, safe, bland, generic sauce flavor. Now that the fire sauce is in, it's just still bland, but now it's burning. So I can't really tell you what I taste in this other than the occasional piece of cabbage, which is pretty good. There's a good amount of them in here. The occasional bite of sesame seed was a nice welcome crunch as a contrast to the softer noodles. Yeah, there's a little sour pepper flavor, a little sweet and sour cabbage flavor. Very little else going on with this. So much so that I think I'm just done talking about it. I'm going to have to give this one a 3 out of 10. Yeah, this is just completely downhill after the last two flavors. Sorry to say. Alright, well that sucked. I was really looking forward to this one, and I am going to finish it because I really have a hard time wasting food. I've got plenty of stuff I can put in this to make it taste better, but on its own, not great. You're going to have to doctor it up the same way I'm about to. But as a base flavor, it's overly chemical leaning, no chicken flavor to speak of that I'm detecting. Yeah, definitely not buying this one again. So let's hope that the final Fire Wok bowl flavor does better than this did. Alright, and so let's wrap this up with the newest bowl of the product line, also clocking in at 6 out of 6 chili peppers, according to the packaging. This is the Volcanic Mongolian beef flavor. Now, I love Mongolian beef when I go to a restaurant or order takeout. Despite its name, Mongolian beef actually comes from Taiwan, and if you're unfamiliar with it, it's usually strips of beef and sliced onions in a robust brown sauce, and it's really good stuff, even if the name is very inaccurate. So I have to assume that Nissin is going to try and replicate that flavor here in a spicy form, so we'll see how successful it is. One final sodium check, 1910 milligrams, or 83% of your daily allowance. This is the lowest sodium in the entire product line. And I know 83% is not really that low at all, but the other bowls were even higher. Okay, inside we've got our usual Fire Wok noodles, a seasoning packet, a vegetable packet, and a fire sauce, this time with black text, so I'm guessing this is yet another different recipe from the other three. In the seasoning packet, we've got real rendered beef fat, along with garlic powder, brown sugar, and soy sauce, which is good because those are all ingredients in real Mongolian beef. The vegetable packet has textured soy protein, which means imitation beef. It's got bok choy, green onion, minced garlic, onion flakes, and chili pepper flakes. Once again, I have no idea what's in the fire sauce. I'll give it a taste test before it goes in. Hopefully it doesn't taste like battery acid like the Molten chicken variety did. So let's get this assembled and get it cooked. You can definitely smell the chili powder in this, along with the garlic powder. It smells pretty good. Hopefully it's not super bland when it cooks up. So check it out. Those chili pepper flakes I was talking about are actual huge chunks of dehydrated chili pepper. Normally when I see chili flakes, I assume, you know, the little seeds, but this is actually like big chunks of dried pepper. That's pretty cool. Don't see that very often. All right, time to add water and microwave this. All right, you all know the drill by now. Give this a good stir. Try to break up the big chunks of seasoning. And if for some reason This one looks a lot soupier than the last two did on coming out of the microwave. So if you buy this and it looks like this, let it stand a little bit. It should thicken up. It should also thicken up a little bit when I put the fire sauce in, but we're gonna give this a taste right now to see how it is. All right, thank goodness. For the first time in this whole video, I can say this one actually tastes really great without the fire sauce in it. Salty, garlicky beef flavor. It's already got some good spice in it. If you like medium spicy food but are intimidated by this fire sauce packet, I think this one you could actually kind of buy and eat without putting the fire sauce in. But for the sake of completion, the fire sauce is going in. All right, the fire sauce actually smells really good this time. Not like chemicals, thankfully. It appears to be a spicy sesame oil, which is to say probably a chili-infused sesame oil. I'll have a little lick and see if I get any other flavors out of it. There's a hint of something else savory in there. I want to say maybe like a garlic infusion or something similar. Definitely better than the last one. Miles better than the last one. Let's get this stirred up. I am very cautiously optimistic about this one, which is good because I was afraid we were going to end on a sour note. Okay, as you can see, much saucier already after just sitting for a couple minutes. All right, time to give this a try now that it's all assembled. All right, let's talk about the spice level. I give the molten chili chicken a 7 out of 10, and that had a very strong chemical capsaicin pepper extract vibe to it, that kind of burn. This one is about as spicy, but the burn feels a little more authentic. Maybe it's because I don't taste that chemically adjacent pepper extract this time around, but this is about the same heat level, but it's much more pleasant, if that makes sense. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 for a spice score. So the flavor of this is pretty darn good. I like it. The base, like I said before the fire sauce went in, was a spicy beefy garlic, and honestly I would have been happy eating that on its own. Then you put the fire sauce in there and it takes on this extra depth of almost kind of a nutty, scorchy flavor. Definitely sesame oil. Something else in there also reacting with the sauce that I can't quite put my finger on. Honestly, it might just be brown sugar. I know brown sugar is in this. It's got kind of a caramelized quality to it that I'm really, really into. Does it taste like Mongolian beef that you get at a restaurant? Similar. Not quite as flavorful. I know Mongolian beef sometimes uses Shaoxing wine in the sauce. Probably some other stuff depending on what restaurant you're eating from. And while this is not as tasty as the best Mongolian beef I've had in a restaurant, it's definitely doing it for me as an instant product. The bok choy leaves are nice. There's quite a few of them. They're tender and flavorful. The chunks of imitation beef, I pulled one out right there. These are delicious. They have a similar texture and flavor to ground beef. Very well done. These chunks of chili pepper, I only ate one of them, but yeah, it's got a nice peppery flavor to it. And it rehydrated really well too. It wasn't like chewing on a piece of pepper skin. So overall, I'm very happy with this. I'm happy with the base flavor. I'm happy with the transformative value that the fire sauce added to it this time. And I think this one is worth an 8 out of 10 as an overall score. Okay, and so the Nissin Hot and Spicy Fire Wok bowl review gauntlet is now over. I hope those of you who are interested in this product line can now make an informed purchase decision. The clear winner for me was the very first one I tried, the Sizzlin rich pork flavor, and a pretty close second is the Volcanic Mongolian beef. Both of these have great rich sauces with a really good depth of flavor. If you're more into seafood and don't mind that there's pork in it, the Scorchin sesame shrimp flavor is worth checking out, assuming you like the flavors that I described. So basically, Szechuan peppercorn, ginger, sesame oil, kind of lacking in the shrimp department, but the flavor is nice. This one, stay the hell away from it. It's awful and it should not exist. Like, whoever's responsible for the pork flavor should get a promotion. And by that same token, whoever's responsible for the chicken flavor needs to never work in the food industry again. And if somehow both of these were made by the same person or team, then are you okay? Do you need help? As far as these other three, whichever one has the flavor profile that appeals to you most, I don't think you'll be disappointed in it. Now, like I said at the very beginning of this video, which feels so long ago to me, Nissin does have a quartet of other hot and spicy bowl products without the Fire Wok branding. They all contain a chili lime sauce packet. So if you'd like me to do a mega review of those, I'm happy to do so. Let me know. I have them all. For the sake of variety in my channel, it won't be happening right this very moment. But, you know, they're in the review pile. Leave me some comments if those interest you. There's also a pair of new Fire Wok pillow packs, which means not bowls like this, but the little plastic packaging. They were introduced a couple months back. They are torched teriyaki chicken and screamin' Sichuan beef, and I will be keeping an eye out for them in a future review, but they have not shown up where I live yet. And believe me, I checked before doing this video in case I could squeeze all 6 in at once. And I could buy both of them in bulk on Amazon, but I do not have the room for 24 more packs of noodles right now. So hopefully you'll see those Fire Wok varieties someday, just, again, not right now. The next video is going to be something totally different, and in the meantime, let me know if you like this mega review, what kind of mega reviews you might want to see in the future. If you try any of these flavors, my condolences if you try this one. Let me know what you think of them, and I hope you'll join me next time on Noodle Journey.